good game, boy. But the game is finished. Now you die.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Die!
Silence of the Lambs. It's a classic horror movie. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, it's a thriller, and it's not a horror movie, but I consider it a horror movie because it has a lot of horror movie elements in it. Like, you have your main bad guy who, he takes women and he does these horrific things to them. And he also gets into some weird stuff too, because then he likes to do little things to himself as well with these women's clothes. And it's a very, I would say, it's a rare thing to get a horror movie like this, to where it has a really interesting plot and the story's execution is engaging for the viewer. And you have really talented actors in this movie who deliver fine performances, like Anthony Hopkins, who definitely deserved that Academy Award. And his character, Hannibal Lecter, is perfectly executed. All of his scenes, and he's not even the main villain, but yet he doesn't even have a lot of scenes in the movie. But every time we focus on him, the way they shoot it, and the way Anthony Hopkins delivered his lines, it's iconic, it's flawless, it's fantastic, it's engaging. I love every bit of it. All the scenes with him, Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster just doing their back and forth. Then you got Buffalo Bill in here, where I think Buffalo Bill, his stuff wasn't compelling or anything like that. I thought it was just there for to give the character something to do, because he really didn't dig deep into his story. It's just he does this is what happens, this is why he's doing it a little bit, and then they conduct their investigation, and you got this girl who's been kidnapped, and then she's trying to fight her way out and all this stuff, and it's pretty good. There's one good scene where there's a misdirection scene in here that's really good. I know a lot of people have seen it, so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of spoil it, where there's a misdirection scene in here where the cops or the FBI, I think it's the FBI, they're like, oh, we're about to bust Buffalo Bill, we're about to get him. And then you see Buffalo Bill doing something, and you see Clarice Starling, played by Jodie Foster, seeming like she's going to go to the house to where the cops are at. And then it's you realize that, they're all in different locations. The cops busted into the wrong house, and Jodie Foster is actually at the house of Buffalo Bill. So I like that misdirection scene. It was good. The night vision scene was good. I love that. Built a lot of tension with that. And yeah, all the scenes with Anthony Hopkins are great. Especially his escape scene is really it's impressive. It's really impressive. His whole planning of that. I could say, in real life, you'd probably get away with that. It was really impressive. The movie's great. It's a classic. I love it. Every time I see it, I watch it, I get engaged with it. Eyes glued to the screen, mesmerizing performances, great directing, tremendous talents in here. Yeah, Silence of the Lambs. It's an absolute classic. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen it, but a lot of you probably have.
Just kidding. Number
Young Frankenstein. Yes, yes, yes. Young Frankenstein is my number one favorite horror movie. And it's not a straight up horror movie, it's a horror comedy of all things. And the reason why it's number one is because, yeah, the movie, it doesn't scare me or anything like that, but I consider it a horror movie because it's based off of Frankenstein, the Frankenstein's monster. I haven't seen the original Frankenstein movie. I should get around to it, but I haven't seen it. I should just take some time to like watch all the classical monster movies because I haven't seen any of them. I haven't seen the Wolfman. I haven't seen the classic Wolfman. I haven't seen the classic Mommy movie. I haven't seen the classic Dracula with Bela Lugosi. I haven't seen any of that stuff, and I should. Since it's October, I should treat myself and watch all the classic horror monsters in their original films. But Young Frankenstein, I remember I saw Blazing Saddles, and I love Blazing Saddles, but I didn't know anything about Young Frankenstein. I knew it existed, but I never watched it. And so at the time, I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and we were talking about what are our favorite movies. And he said he loves Young Frankenstein. It is his number one favorite movie. And so I said, okay, I'll check it out. And I watched it for the first time, and I absolutely loved it. I love Young Frankenstein, and it takes a lot for me to laugh. Like, I mean, if my friends who know me will say, oh, you constantly laugh all the time at dumb stuff. But honestly, it does take a lot for me to laugh. Like, I can watch a stand-up comedian for an hour and just sit there like this. You know? And so it definitely takes a lot for me to laugh. But with Young Frankenstein, I laugh at every single scene, every line, every joke. Everything with Igor or or whatever he wants to call himself is great. His whole hump thing, where he switches it and he plays a joke on Gene Wilder, who is fantastic in this movie. I love all his scenes.
You know, I don't mean to embarrass you, but I'm a rather brilliant surgeon. Perhaps I could help you with that hump.
What hump?
You know what to do.
I have a pretty good idea.
Good man.
Didn't you used to have that on the other side?
What?
Your, oh, never mind.
One of my favorite scenes with Gene Wilder in here is where he's laying in bed and he's saying,
Destiny! Destiny! No escaping, that's for me! Destiny! Destiny! No escaping, that's for me! Destiny! Destiny! No escape! No! Dr. Frankenstein, wake up!
What is it?
You were having a nightmare.
you know, is funny. And then the other scene is funny is the candle scene with the bookshelf. He's like, put the candle back. And then there's also a big payoff with that scene where he is walking away, or he's walking towards to take the other candle, and then the girl walks up to him and he's like, stand back. And it's funny. It's really funny stuff. And then he finds the book, and then he gets he creates his Frankenstein, and it's great. He creates his monster, and then, you know, his monster's terrorizing people, and then you got this scene with Gene Hackman, and I did not know that was Gene Hackman. I could not tell that is Gene Hackman. I could not tell for the life of me. I saw the credits. It's like Gene Hackman was in this movie, and I had to go back and watch that scene. I was like, oh, it is Gene Hackman. He was great as the blind guy. The scene was absolutely funny. I love Young Frankenstein. I'm glad this friend recommended it to me. It's a very funny movie. It's good. And Gene Wilder is great. He's perfect in Young Frankenstein. I love it. It's my number one favorite horror movie, even though it's not like a heavy horror. It's not really a horror movie. I mean, it is and it isn't. I mean, it's got horror elements in there, you know, like creating a monster, you know, give my creation life, you know, and that stuff like that is great. You know, there's sprinkles of horror, but it's more of it's a comedy horror, which is, in my opinion, you know, it's a comedy horror, and comedy horrors, in my book, are considered legitimate horror movies, so it can be in people's top 10 favorite horror movie list.
Destiny! Destiny! No escaping, that's for me! Destiny!